Quality and quality assurance are important considerations in education, including higher education. What is quality? Why do we need to ensure quality? And what is the general process of assuring quality in higher education? These are the questions that we will briefly respond to in this discussion. So, quality has been defined in a variety of ways, but the general meaning of quality actually is fitness for purpose. So, this is the general definition of quality across different fields, including the field of education and higher education. Fitness for purpose. So, the purpose of what is the purpose of education, and is the kind of education, including higher education, that we provide fits the purpose. Now, the purpose itself could be contextual. There are elements of, in terms of the purpose of higher education, that are universal. And again, the purpose of higher education keep on evolving, keeping in view the needs of particular times or particular societies or contexts. So we can say that the purposes of higher education might vary in line with particular contexts or socio-economic needs in particular parts of the world. There are other aspects which are universal, and then, as we say, the purposes or the purpose of higher education might evolve, and it actually evolves over a period of time, or in response to the changes in the context and situations in which higher education takes place. So we can say that the purpose or purposes of higher education are not static. They keep on evolving. Now, what is quality assurance? Quality assurance can be defined as mechanisms or structures that are in place for ensuring and sustaining quality education. So we already defined quality in quality education. Education that fits the purpose for which that the whole process has been conceptualized and then brought into practice. And quality assurance actually is the mechanism or structure in place for ensuring, and not just ensuring, but for sustaining the quality of education, and in this in the current situation, the quality of higher education. Now, you might ask, what is mechanism or structure? The mechanism actually for assuring quality include the planning, the delivery, the evaluation, and then the development. So we need to plan the process of the aims of quality education, the delivery or the process of quality education. Then we need to have in place useful evaluation systems. And because we also say that the purpose of quality education is actually to keep evolving with the passage of time in line with the need and the requirements of the society. So the mechanism should also have place for development and evolution of the process of higher education. So that's about the what of higher education, of quality assurance in higher education. Now, the why of quality assurance in higher education. Why is it important for us to assure quality in higher education? Well, making of higher education meaningful and useful is extremely important. So, why is it that in the first place, why is it that we have structured, we have developed the whole process of higher education? Or in other words, what are the aims and objectives of higher education, including education in postgraduate colleges and universities? This is something that we need to consider, and in order to make the process of higher education meaningful and useful, so that we are not just giving degrees or certificates, but making the process of higher education meaningful in terms of responding to the socio-economic needs of the society around us. Then the quality assurance in higher education is also important, because higher education institutions are expected to provide leadership to the society in the various aspects, the various fields of the society. Leaders who not only carry on the current system, but also change leaders who can bring in changes in the society, for strengthening the society and for preparing the societies for the incoming challenges of the current and the future times. So that's why the provision of change leaders is one of the outcomes of quality assurance in higher education. Then sustainability of socio-economic development. We need not only to bring our socio-economic development to a particular level, but also to sustain their socio-economic development. And for that, we need higher quality in higher education. And lastly, justification for the substantial investment in higher education. As we know that the higher education is among those fields of education where a substantial amount of the national budgets are invested. And so there is generally a huge amount of investment in higher education. And so there is need for justification of that. And the justification will generally come from the fact that the higher education has established the structures that assure quality in terms of return, socioeconomic return to the society. So that's about the why of it. Now, how is it that we can make the quality in higher education, that we can ensure quality higher education? So we need to think about what are the main stakeholders, or what are the main components in the higher education. So the quality of those stakeholders or those processes will ultimately result in the assurance of quality in higher education. So one of the main stakeholders are the students. In order to assure quality in higher education, we need to bring in good quality students to the universities and to the higher education institutions, and so there should be proper checks and balances in order to encourage and bring in good quality students, and then to continuously develop those students in terms of quality. So that's why the entry-level qualification, the entry-level competencies, the entry-level knowledge and aptitudes and skills of the students who are aspiring to get into higher education need to be well established and need to be monitored and controlled, so that we get good quality stuff in the form of the input into higher education. Secondly, we need to have quality educational programs keeping in view the socio-economic needs of the society. And so the good quality of students that have come through the lower education, and here I must say that higher education institutions need to establish relationships and links with lower level education institutions such as schools and colleges in order to assess them in improving the quality of education, so that these lower level education institutions, including schools and colleges, are in actually have the ability to feed good quality students to universities. Now, in terms of the programs, as I said, we need to develop programs, to initiate programs, to strengthen programs, educational programs in the universities that respond to the socio-economic needs of the society. So every educational program or degree program that higher education programs institutions offer need to be rationalized. They should come through proper planning, good thinking, and they should have sound theoretical and practical components in order to prepare to further develop students as change leaders. Now, among the implementers, the most important ones are the faculty members or the teaching staff in higher education, and also the quality of the supporting staff, including the administration, is highly important. So the induction process of the faculty and the supporting staff must be based on a very sound system and based on merit, so that good quality faculty and staff are recruited, and then they are professionally developed, and then there are mechanisms in place that keep on the continuous professional development of the faculty and staff. And so this is something that is very important for quality education in higher and quality assurance in higher education. Institutional mechanisms for quality assurance is an extremely important aspect of quality assurance. So there should be institutional mechanisms, including assessment systems, professional development systems in place at the department level, and then at the faculty level, and then at the university level. And there should be a good deal of collaboration at these various stages, so that there are institutional mechanisms that help in sustaining and further developing the quality of education in higher education institutions. And lastly, the external bodies or monitoring and supporting system, such as the higher education authorities and the governments and the societies. There should be a proper monitoring and support system, so that the other structures in place in the higher education institutions are monitored, but not just monitored, but also assisted and supported wherever the assistance or support is needed on a broader social level or on government level. So this is generally how we can assure quality in higher education by. So in summary, we can say that we need to induct good quality students, and then we need to have good quality, socio-economically responsive programs, educational programs in our higher education institutions Then the faculty and supporting staff needs to be high quality, especially the faculty needs to be really good quality. Then there should be institutional mechanisms for ensuring the implementation or delivery of the educational process, and the external monitoring support should be strong enough in order to respond to the quality assurance mechanisms and needs of higher education institutions.